What's good, ladies and gents? Welcome to the MKO Pugilism Boxing channel, where we talk all things boxing. Do remember to like and subscribe, hit the bell notification, all that good stuff, and make sure you put down all so you get all the notifications as and when we drop content on the channel. So let's get into this one. So roughly 1 month's time, Anthony Joshua versus Dillian Whyte will be on. It's going to be on in the O2 Arena, which was the scene, I believe, of their first fight, which was a very decent fight, good heavyweight scrap. Anthony Joshua, of course, stopped Dillian Whyte, knocked him out, and they're going to have their rematch now in the O2 Arena back over there. And yeah, the disappointing thing with this is that it's going to be on pay-per-view, and unfortunately, it's going to be matching the same price that those who paid for the Fury versus Chisora. It's going to be for that same thing, $26.99, so more or less £27. Yeah, this has caused a bit of an uproar among boxing people who, like myself, we try to watch all the fights and everything, and it is disappointing to see this on pay-per-view because at the end of the day, both guys are kind of on the comeback trail. Both guys, Anthony Joshua and Dillian Whyte, they're both coming off of subpar performances. I mean, with Joshua, less so, I suppose, because he did pretty much sweep Jermaine Franklin. It wasn't a performance that was really easy on the eye or a very exciting performance, but he pretty much shut out Jermaine Franklin, won most of the rounds. And with Dillian Whyte, he had to struggle more for his victory. A lot of people felt that he lost that fight to Jermaine Franklin, so he had a bit more of a struggle. Joshua's performance was just one of those where, okay, there wasn't a KO involved and it wasn't that exciting. So it's a crossroads fight between two guys. Both of them need to win, desperately need to win, because I would say that the loser of this fight, Joshua versus Whyte, is basically finished. They can kiss bye-bye to their aspirations, if they have any intent on getting to the top of the tree, getting back into contention for belts. I mean, this is the acid test. This really is the crossroads between the two guys. And it's one of those where it'll be interesting to see how it sells. Whether it sells out, I think they'll do pretty good numbers as far as ticket sales go, because I think the press tours, the press conferences will be full of spice. These guys definitely dislike each other, and they've got Dillian Whyte. He's got to be in his bonnet about it. He'll be holding on to his win over Anthony Joshua in the amateurs, and he'll be sort of holding on to that. And he does seem to be a guy that can antagonize Anthony Joshua. He can sort of ruffle his feathers. So I'm really hoping that these guys will bring out the best in one another. I definitely think Anthony Joshua wins this fight. I think he's just that bit better than Dillian Whyte, and I think if anyone's going to ruffle him, going to get under his skin and going to cause him to perhaps fight hard, it's going to be a guy like Dillian Whyte, because Dillian Whyte is that guy that, they have that history, they have that little bit of beef from back in the days. So it's one of these fights that it's a good scenario, I think, especially for AJ. I'm one of these people that I believe him jumping straight into a Fury fight would have been a mistake in terms of if he wants to give himself the best possibility to win that fight. And the same with a Deontay Wilder fight. I think Anthony Joshua, his confidence has been low lately, so I believe he definitely needs some of these more warm-up fights, some of these fights just to sort of build him up, build his confidence up, get him back mentally to where he needs to be, and then when he does go into the Wilder fight, the Wilder fight, that's also been announced as well. That's another thing that's going to be in December in Saudi, and according to AJ's team, and according to also TalkSport, which I've done a little bit of a read up on that, and yeah, apparently the Wilder fight is on. Obviously, AJ for me has got to, at the very least, win this fight to really still be in there. But yeah, that's the news there. A lot of you would have heard of that already. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you see this fight going? Do you see the same winner once again? I think this fight, it's definitely a good one, because you got one of the question marks over it is definitely AJ's mentality, because he's been boxing more lately. He's been a bit more reserved. He hasn't been trying to bomb people out. He's been much more reserved and careful about his work, much more wary of being hit. So I think Dillian Whyte, although I see him as an underdog, he does have a chance here, because if AJ is going to be hesitant, if AJ's going to be sort of not letting his bombs go, not letting his shots go, and he's going to be a bit reserved and a bit more laid back in this fight, then it might give Dillian Whyte the opportunity to really get at him and maybe land something significant, maybe hurt AJ. He's you know, I think it's one of these where you got to favor AJ, but if there's ever a time to get him, if there's ever a time to beat him, I'd say it's now, when he's kind of mentally fragile. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it. I favor AJ, but Dillian Whyte can punch. He does punch hard, but he's also got his own vulnerabilities. But I think the confidence that Dillian Whyte seems to carry is quite unshakable. He's one of these guys that carries so much confidence and self-belief into a fight, you know, even in spite of his knockouts, that knockout losses he suffered. He's always confident, he's always arrogant, he's always optimistic, and carrying that mindset into the ring does make him a bit of a danger for Anthony Joshua. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on this. It's going to be interesting to see what happens approximately 1 month from now. So until next time, that's our video for today. It's MKO Pugilism, over and out. Catch you on the next